My name is Shola Ladoja, and I am an under 40 CEO.
The African Renaissance. The concept that the African people and nation shall overcome the current challenges confronting the continent and achieve cultural, scientific, and economic renewal is here, with young men and women taking the lead. Some call them the new school heroes. We call them under 40 CEOs.
Shola Ladoja started what is his business today by trying to solve a problem him and a few friends were faced with. Shola, who had planned to retire as a farmer, didn't know he would start his career in farming quite earlier. The engineer, who had worked in 3 different firms after his studies at the New York Institute of Technology, moved to Nigeria to continue his engineering career. However, there was a problem. Shola drank green juice almost every day in New York, but could not find any when he moved back to Nigeria. So he decided to start producing green juice for himself and people like him who love it. He left his job at one of Nigeria's biggest power distribution companies to focus on agriculture. In May 2014, he launched his company and commenced the production of Simply Green juices. With his farm now sitting on 6,500 acres of land, it is good to note that he started small with a paltry 250,000 naira. Shola Ladoja is the CEO of Simply Green Limited. Welcome to Under 40 CEOs, Mr. Shola Ladoja.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I have this little post of yours from Facebook in 2012. It was on the 8th of December, 2012. And the first part of it reads, I am a small-scale dairy farmer having difficulties. Are you still having those difficulties today?
I would say I'm still having the same difficulties, but not just as tough as it was before. Now I've been able to understand how to manage my resources to get where I want to get to. But my major problem before was funding and finding the right type of cows to get the right yield of milk I wanted. So it was, well, then I was just learning about it, but now things are much better. But it's still quite difficult, but it's not as difficult as before.
Okay, now let me just run through the other half.
Right.
Of the post. It says, basically, I produce about 100 liters of milk a day. But because of my country and culture, most people are not acceptable to fresh milk. So I thought, why not produce yogurt, which everyone seems to love? My only problem is I don't have enough capital to buy equipment. Can anyone advise on simple ways to make yogurt with my 100 liters of milk to raise some capital to buy equipment?
Exactly.
Have you bought the equipment?
Yes, we have. Yes,
okay,
we have.
beautiful. Now, I mean, you've raised some money, you've bought equipment. What would you say is the best way to go about sourcing funding when you have a brilliant idea you want to translate into a viable business?
In terms of funding, I got funds from my family because they believed in what I was doing. They saw it was something that could bring in some money. My dad has always been very supportive of me going into farming, and he was my biggest sponsor. It was the one that actually gave me the funds to start the business, so yeah.
Lucky you.
Lucky me.
Now, today you run 2 companies, Real Livestock Limited and Simply Green Limited. Now, could you tell me a lot more about the businesses?
Simply Green Limited, I started Simply Green Limited about a year ago. My main goal for Simply Green is to produce those things we don't have in Nigeria, like, well, I wanted to produce juice, but I wanted to produce good juice, cold pressed juices, which I really didn't find a lot in Nigeria. Before I came to Nigeria, I used to drink juice every single day, but I came to Nigeria and I just couldn't find it, so I decided to start my own. We're going into different things, berries, we're growing berries, mulberries, strawberries, blueberries. We're growing kale, parsley, coriander, chives, sage. Yeah, so my main goal is those things we import into Nigeria. I'm trying to see how we can stop those things. Because what pisses me off the most is there's a plane that comes from France and Belgium on Wednesdays. They bring things like milk, eggs, basil, coriander. Why? I mean, these are things that we could do in Nigeria. So I decided, you know what? Since I have a background in this, I've trained myself well in farming. I decided, okay, I'm going to create a company that's going to cater specifically to that 1% market.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Shola Ladoja was recently a judge on the acclaimed international series, Shiva's The Venture, an initiative aimed at discovering, inspiring, and rewarding social entrepreneurs who use their businesses to solve societal issues while making the world better in the process. The initiative provides entrepreneurs with the opportunity to compete for a share of $1 million in financial investment, invaluable contacts, and global exposure of their company, as well as mentorship from world-famous business leaders. Shola played a huge role in selecting the winner from Nigeria.
Before I forget, you mentioned training. I know you read electrical and computer engineering at the New York Institute of Technology. Now, I'm sure you've done even more training after that, but as the course you studied earlier impacted in the direction of the business in any way or form?
I wouldn't say yes. I learned most of what I knew from my brother, or my brothers rather, because my brothers are all farmers. So that really gave me the push, you know. I had someone to actually teach me these things as opposed to reading about them. I had practical training was what I had, and that's what really built me in this farming industry.
Okay, now your brothers are also farmers. You read electrical and all of that. You don't think that IT in some way or form could be introduced into farming?
We are introducing some technology into our farming. We are going with greenhouses. We are currently doing artificial insemination for our cows with Jersey bulls to increase the yield of milk we get from 1.5 liters to, well, for the first generation, we should get close to about 10 liters of milk. After that, we look at 15 and 20 liters of milk. So we've done a lot to increase our yields by adopting IT, as you said.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I'm sure that you have this occasional twists in trends in your industry. What have you put in place to ensure that you manage these occasional twists to get the best possible results?
Occasional twist, by, like, what do you mean?
In your industry, I mean, maybe there's a certain trend. People like a certain kind of beef or like a certain kind of milk, or, you know, what have you put in place to make sure that you roll with the trends to make the best possible
we are
the situation?
Trendsetters. I mean, so we actually make the trends. We make the trends. So I just want to give 100% quality products.
Okay.
So I really don't look at the trends. I really don't look at what people are doing. I just focus on what I want to do, which is to give the best possible products. And that's what I'm doing. So I believe we are the ones setting the trend here.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Touted as the poster child for agriculture in Nigeria, Shola Ladoja regards himself a trendsetter in his industry. And in the first year of launching Simply Green, his turnover was over 200 million naira. Compare that to the 250,000 naira in May 2014, and you see incredible growth that only a few industries can guarantee. Considering that organic juices, or the lack of it, prompted him to launch Simply Green Juices, Shola is already a trendsetter. But what other trends is Shola setting in agriculture?
Okay, now talking about trends, I think there may be a trend that you're already setting. You know, from our conversation earlier, you mentioned that you're crossbreeding certain bull types.
Yes.
That you've had to, I don't know how you do it. just to get the best possible amount of milk
Yes.
from. So is that a trend you would say you've already started to set?
Well, we were not the first to start this. I found out about this from a farm in Yola owned by Muritala Iyako. It was the former governor of that state. He has crossbred cows which give a good amount of milk, so and it's good quality milk. So I just thought since someone was doing it already, it's going to be good for more people to actually get into that and start doing it. So I decided to also join the trend, if you say that.
Beautiful. Now, I know you're very well traveled, but how has travel and interacting with different cultures, basically added value to your person and to your business?
Traveling has really exposed me to a lot of things. Like I was in Amsterdam was it this year? Yeah, I was there this year, and I learned so much about milk, about cheese. Now I have a passion for milk and cheese. I really want to do milk. I really want to go into cheese, which we don't have in Nigeria, because the only types of cheese we have is soft cheese. We have all these local ones, but we don't have a good variety of cheese. So that's what I'm trying to introduce. So I could only do this because I was able to travel and see these things in other places, which I think has built me up to this point, or it has given me that interest in the dairy. So my travels really helped me to see the bigger picture of things. So.
Okay, now while on this CEO journey, what are the key challenges that you've had to overcome, to make the strides that you've made so far?
Well, the biggest one was having my family believe in what I was doing. Because, yes, my dad knew I was into farming, but I wanted to go a different way in farming. He was looking at more of the mass market. I don't want to do the mass market. I want to do that 1% market that is not being catered to. So that was quite tough. But I was able to prove myself by going on my own. And since then, they've been very supportive. But yeah, that was my biggest problem. But the next problem was finding the right staff, people that knew exactly what they were doing, people who knew that things had to be done at a certain time. So that was also a very big challenge for me. And yeah, I would say my biggest challenge now is staffing, because my biggest challenge before has been taken care of. Now my biggest problem now is staffing and getting the right staff to work for you and putting everything they have into your business to grow it for you.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
I'm sure very soon you put in place a proper HR structure that will probably ensure that you get the right kinds of people. But then you get these people. What are those key skill sets that a CEO must have to lead these people and manage them, to deliver the best possible results?
Well, I can't really talk for most CEOs, but I could talk for myself. I'm someone that I lead from example. I go on the field and do the things. I don't tell them to do it. I go there. So if you see me doing it, then it's a must. You have to do it as well. So I think most CEOs should not just talk. They should lead the people by showing them what to do, training them, building them up, which I've done. Most of my staff really did not really know much about what I was doing, but I was able to teach them, train them, and support them to get to where they are now. And yeah.
So yeah, there's you at the top,
Yes.
the CEO, and then there's several other people that you work with. What is your current business structure like?
My current business structure is there's a CEO on top, of course. I have a production manager. I have a general manager. Then I have heads of each department. I have a dispatch department. There's a production side. There's also the farming side. So now it's not just we take the things from the farm. So there are two different sides here. We have the farming side and the production side. The farming guys give us what we need to produce what we produce. Like, take for example, we get lettuce from the farms to produce our Simply Green juices, the Clint intense flavor. So we have the CEO, the managers, and the regular staff.
Now, what is that most important project that you're currently working on? The one that's most important to you?
The most important project to me?
Yeah.
Is taking over the world. No, but really, my biggest passion is farming, and in farming, what I really want to focus on now is dairy. I don't know why, I just have a passion for dairy, and I'm trying to focus on that fully. After that, I'm going into vegetable production, which is my second biggest passion. We have all these things in Nigeria, but we don't know how to use them properly. We have land, we have water. So I think the most important things are there, but we just don't know how to use them well. So I know how to use what I have. And well, the most important thing for me now is just my dairy. I want to focus on my dairy first.
Okay. So yeah, the dairy business is your focus over the next 5 years.
Yes.
What do you hope to achieve in terms of, yield, in terms of revenue? What are you hoping to achieve with the dairy?
What I plan to achieve in the next 5 years with my dairy is to take it around West Africa. By then, I hope to achieve about 30,000 liters of milk a day. But that's going to take a lot of work. That's going to take a lot of money. Lots of investment needs to go into that, which we're working on at the moment. Yeah, so in the next 5 years, my dairy, I wanted to go around West Africa and probably be one of the biggest dairy farms in Africa. So that's what I want.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Behind Shola's calm exterior is a man determined to continue to break new ground and build a string of sustainable businesses in agriculture. We know he spends the bulk of his time feeding the nation and hanging out with his plants and animals on his farm. But what does he do with his time off the farm and farm work? I intend to find out.
Now, I have a few quick-fire questions for you. What do you love to eat?
Amala.
How would you describe your style?
My style, I'm a green person.
What CEOs do you currently look up to?
Tony Elumelu.
What are your favorite brands to wear?
Just t-shirts. I don't have any brands. I'm not.
What's your favorite car to drive?
Mercedes is my favorite car. I love Mercedes. Anything German, Mercedes, BMW.
Beautiful. Your favorite travel destination?
So far it's been Bangkok.
What's your favorite book of all time?
My favorite book of all times. Wow, that's a tricky one now. My favorite book of all times. I really don't know, to be honest. Don't know.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
What book are you reading right now?
None.
You're not a reader, huh?
I'm not a reader. I'm definitely not a reader.
So what makes you happy?
Whoa, what makes me happy? Well, I think what makes me happy is just being me, I guess. Living my dreams, doing what I want to do with myself, doing what I want to do with my life. I wanted to be a farmer at the age of 50 and I have a farm, I just retire on my farm. But at the age of 29, I have more than expected to have at the age of 50. So I guess I am
pretty happy.
I'm quite satisfied with my life. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on Under 40 CEOs, Mr. Shola Ladoja.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Shola Ladoja, and you could be an Under 40 CEO.